Well, hey there, guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, what did Kenny do on vacation? Well, every year for vacation, my wife and I travel to the east coast of Canada, more specifically the island of Newfoundland. And last year, during our vacation video, it seems to be an annual thing for me here on the channel, I gave you the different places that I traveled and gave you a little bit of the history of each of the places, things like population, some historical events that happened, that sort of thing. But this year, I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to chat about what I did on vacation and give you a little bit of video of it and that sort of thing. Now, guys, when we go to the island of Newfoundland, my wife and I don't like to sit static. We absolutely don't like to sit still. We like to get in the rental car and travel the island and see different towns in different places. Now, there are certain haunts that we like to go to, our favorite towns. Places like Twillingate, where of course we always enjoy a good lunch there, and the lighthouses in Twillingate, we always love to visit there. We actually went earlier this year. Normally we don't go until July, but we went earlier in June this year because we were hoping to see icebergs, and we were not disappointed. There weren't as many as there has been in years past, but there were still several that we could view from Twillingate, one of the towns that we do enjoy going to on a regular basis. So we saw the icebergs and they were awesome. Guys, there are so many gorgeous sites around the island of Newfoundland that you can travel to. The problem is, and it's not really a problem, but the issue, I guess we'll say, is that you have to do a lot of driving. Nothing is easy access. Everything is an hour or more drive. In some cases, we even drove 3.5 hours one way just to get to a town to see a few things. And there's not a lot to do in a lot of these towns, but the scenery is spectacular. That 3.5 hour drive was actually to a town called Elliston. And Elliston seems to basically base their entire existence around the puffins that live in that area. It is on the far northeast tip kind of thing of the island, just to generalize where this is. But Elliston is famous for puffins, and you can go there and park your vehicle and hike out onto the hills. And off on the little islands that are fairly close there, there are all these little puffin birds that are running around and going into their burrows. There are seagulls, obviously, because why wouldn't there be? You're by the ocean. But the puffins are all there, and everything there is gauged around puffins. There's the Puffin Cafe that we had lunch at, excellent meal. There's all kinds of puffin gift shops and et cetera, et cetera. Guys, Elliston was a great place to be, and every year when we go on vacation, we try to pick at least one place that we haven't been before. And while last year we chose the south end of the island, this year we went east to Elliston. That was the place we had never been. Well worth the drive. It was a great little hike out there onto the hills and a lot of great views. Bringing binoculars is a must here to be able to see the birds. They are still quite a distance away from the edge of the cliffs, and viewing them safely is better done through binoculars. Either way, a load of fun there to go to that town. As well, of course, other small towns, place like Rattling Brook Falls. This is a rather large hiking trail that has walkways that go all up through the forest there and bring you up alongside of the waterfalls there through Rattling Brook. And it is spectacular for the scenery. It is just gorgeous, and it's a good little walk. The only issue with it that we found, of course, and we've been there many times before, but we went on a rather humid day, and hiking through the forest there and climbing up all of those steps, it was a little warm. But we still had fun with it. And then, of course, on the opposite side of the road, you can sit in the gazebos that are there or on the park benches and have yourself a lunch right by the ocean. And of course, that ocean is not without its own scenery as well. Now, I'm always blown away by the creativity of the Newfoundlanders. And you see all of these things all throughout the island. And all you need to do is just pay attention. Things from special numbers on their houses or whatever. But this one place really caught my eye, and what they have is a full whale kind of thing, not full size, but it's rather large on the side of their little building, and they have made it completely out of driftwood. That thing was kind of cool. And as well, you've also got things like this wreath. This wreath was made from mussel shells, all put around the wreath and hung on the door. It's definitely creative, and it's definitely different. But all the different towns, whether you're going to, say, Gander, or whether you're going through Terra Nova National, or whatever you're doing, it's always eye-catching for the scenery. The scenery is one of the things that we love. And although here in the city I absolutely hate driving, I actually enjoy driving on the island because there's no congestion. There's nobody's being a jerk on the roads for the most part. It is a relaxing drive in comparison to the city where I live, where everything is congestion, everything is backed up, everybody's in a hurry to get somewhere, and their mission is more important than yours. I find that in Newfoundland, the comparison between the driving there and the driving here is night and day, and I have absolutely zero problems driving when I'm there. Now, if at some point in time my wife and I don't feel like traveling around the island, not to worry. The place we stay there, the house that we stay in, has a spectacular view all of its own. There's kind of like a two-lane roadway, then there's the beach, and then there is the water. And there is no shortage of wildlife there to check out, but the view is spectacular. Even on a windy, blustery day, the white caps, all of that, it still looks great, but it's always best on a calm night when the water is like glass, as they say. It's just a spectacular view with Woody Island off to the right. Grassy Island is way, way down further, not shown in any of these videos here, but it's still a spectacular view, even if you're not going anywhere that day. Now, one of our other usual haunts is leading Tickles, and I think I showed you some of that from last year's vacation video as well. It's basically a park. It is an RV or camping park, and they have some amazing and gorgeous black sand beaches there. Very nice to visit, a lot of fun. And if the tide is out, you can kind of hike along the rocks there and get to one of my wife's favorite spots to have a photo taken, which is this large rock that juts up out of the water. Now, you can't actually get beside the rock because it's still surrounded in water, but you can get close enough to get a good photo. You just need to be careful to keep an eye on the tide, because the tide does come in rather quickly. And if the tide should come in, it is possible that you're going to get your feet pretty wet trying to get back in out of there. It's a little bit of a treacherous area if the tide is coming in. So you want to make sure that the tide is fully out and that you get out there, get your picture, and get back in. Either way, that Leading Tickles Park is spectacular. It's a great place to hang out. Now, what I want to do after this week's show, showing my vacation, I was inspired while I was there for several East Coast inspired projects. And that's what we're going to do over the next little while on the woodworking segment of the show. But I needed to gather some supplies. And one of the things I needed was driftwood. And of course, one of my wife's favorite places to go is a place called Sandy Point. So you go down to Sandy Point, tons of driftwood. I had my choice of what I wanted there. So I grabbed some driftwood and brought it back here with me when I flew home for our crafts. But my wife likes to go along those beaches there at Sandy Point and find sea glass. She likes to collect sea glass. I've shown you guys some of her work with the sea glass before, some of the collages that she does with it and that sort of thing. But this is where she gets it. She hangs out at Sandy Point, walks along the beach. And my cousin came with us this year, and I don't know what kind of eyes she has, but she was picking up sea glass like it was going out of style, and she was getting like 6, 7 pieces for every one that my wife would find. But that's okay, because she gave it all to my wife anyway, which was nice. So the Sandy Point is a great little place there, and there is a lookout. I mean, you can climb up. I think it's like kind of like a lifeguard tower. I've never seen anybody in it, but I decided to climb up in it and take a little bit of footage from up there in the tower. And it is a little bit of a climb, but you do get some amazing views if you want to get up there. Now, guys, I want to apologize that some of these videos are a little on the shaky side. I did not bring a tripod with me during my vacation. It's a little hard to drag a tripod when you're traveling like that, so it's very difficult. It's bad enough that I was bringing a large, bulky video camera, but then to turn around and try to bring a tripod with it. So some of these videos are a little shaky, and I apologize for that. I did try some video stabilization during the editing process, and it made them look horrible. So I just said, forget it. We'll go with shaky and hope for the best. So I hope you guys are doing okay with that. Either way, guys, we have been going here for years and years and years. I have been traveling here since I was a child. Without a doubt, bar none, the most beautiful province in all of Canada. And if you ever get the opportunity to visit the east coast of Canada and hit Newfoundland, you will not be disappointed. But at some point in time, of course, that beauty and the easy traffic and the craft shops and the puffins and all that other stuff, the gorgeous views, that all has to come to an end. And we only went for 2 weeks this year, so after 2 weeks, which goes by so quickly, it's time to fly home and once again onto an airplane and head back to the city. And that brings me right back here into the shop to continue the filming schedule. So there you go. There is my 2025 vacation experience on the east coast of Canada in Newfoundland. And there you have it. What did Kenny do on vacation? Guys, my wife and I always have a good time on the coast. I have a lot of family there on the island. There's actually quite a few viewers here of the show that are from Newfoundland, and I was going to go visit one in the next town over while I was there, but unfortunately we just got too busy and I never got the chance to get over and see him. Maybe next year, let's hope for that, but this year it just didn't happen. Either way, guys, if you haven't been there, you gotta get there. Put it on your bucket list. If you're Canadian, if you're American, it doesn't matter where you're from, put it on your bucket list to visit the east coast of Canada. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed the program. If you haven't already, please, why not like and subscribe to the channel? We have an amazing audience here, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of that community. Once again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you've enjoyed some of the footage here. I hope you were able to get through the shakiness of some of the videos. I hope that you're going to visit this place for yourself because it truly is beautiful. And more importantly, guys, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.